This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet. It's an incredible wallet. It's light, it's sleek, it's industrial. I was literally just telling my buddy Ryan about it. I said, look, man, this doesn't fold. It doesn't awkwardly bulge out of your back pocket. You put it in your front pocket. It will seriously change your pocket game. And I'll tell you what, if you've moved on from that flip phone, it's time to let that 90s style wallet that your father still uses, okay, put that thing behind, because Ridge wallets hold up to 12 cards, plus all the cash that you need. You can choose from over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. It is the best wallet you can buy, and you don't just have to take old Chael's word for it, because there's over 30,000 five-star reviews. I was skeptical. I really was at first, but once you try it, you will never go back to your old wallet, and there's no pressure. You can test this out for 45 days. If you don't love it, send it back, full refund. If you decide to keep it, there's a lifetime warranty. Click the link in the description. That's going to get you 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns. Go to ridge.com/Chael. That's ridge.com/Chael and use the promo code Chael. Conor versus Poirier. Generally, this is a time when I would tell you, here's what happened. I would probably even use the words, here's what happened. I might even use it in a thumbnail. Does it matter what happened? Does it matter in the least? Stories can go multiple ways. I'm well aware of that. You have fiction and you have non-fiction. To watch fiction play out in front of the world's eyes is truly a thing of amazement. I mean, in all fairness, I have never seen a fight more rewritten than the night that Conor kicked Floyd Mayweather's ass. I've never seen anything that I've personally witnessed and observed get retold immediately in a fashion opposite of what happened. Until now. Arguably, until now. Where should we begin on this? Let's start with an amazing narrative that there should be a fourth fight. Do you understand the disrespect that you are showing to Dustin Poirier? Dustin Poirier is the true number one contender, but he is more clearly and deserving of a number one contendership than not just anybody in the division, anybody in any division. The sport does not have a clearer number one contender than Dustin Poirier. Now, I bring that to you because there is no scenario where Conor McGregor fights for a world championship, okay? We can all agree on that. That ship is long sailed. Dustin Poirier's next fight is for the world championship. So if you say that you believe there's going to be a part 4 between those two, or that you believe there should be, you are saying that Dustin is going to lose to Oliveira. There's no other way for that to be heard. If you think that Conor and Dustin should or are going to fight a fourth time, that means you believe that Dustin is going to lose to Charles, which is just rude. You've got a right to say that. That time will come, but it's a long time from now. It's not moments after he just stopped a former multi-division world champion. By the way, in 5 minutes. That's the night you got to give Dustin his due. Now, for many of you that have said there should be a part 4 until you just heard me say that, you probably didn't mean it in that regard. But for any of you that think that that fight warrants another fight, we can do it for money. We can do it for attention and cash. We can do it for a lot of things. Competitiveness and architecture of sport are none of them. That was a beating. That was a beating like few I have ever seen. And don't forget, 5 minutes went by, which is what? A round. And what happens at the end of the round? Judges turn in scorecards. 2 of the 3 licensed judges that elevated themselves to a main event of a pay-per-view had it 10-8. Do you know what 10-8 means? Okay, it doesn't mean one guy got 10 and the other guy got 8. What a 10-8 round is the judge's way of correcting a referee who did not stop a fight. It doesn't have to be a referendum on the referee, but for a 10-8 round, the fight had to be at least eligible for stoppage. 2 of the 3 judges saw it that way, which is what I saw, which is what happened, which is what everybody saw, but has already been rewritten. And that just fascinates me. I'm not fighting that. I don't choose to take on crazy, right? When I see crazy, I don't try to correct them. Even a broken clock's right twice a day. Go be crazy somewhere else. I'm not looking to take that on. I'm sharing with you true, actual amazement that a fight that was so bad in terms of its lopsidedness, where the referee that we all watched 2 different times did the lean in, did the move where he was going to stop it, didn't stop it, and then got overridden by 2 judges to say, you should have stopped it. It wasn't competitive. It wasn't close. Now, get to Conor's side of it. And guys, I would fall into the category, I believe, if there's 2 categories, hater, supporter, there's no in between. Those are your 2 categories. I think that you guys would put me in the supporter category for Conor. I would never kick a guy when he's down, ever. I always offer him a hand up. I preface this because what I'm about to say may sound like I'm not being very nice, but it's not meant to. I'm just saying what happened, and I'm explaining it. And it wasn't nice. Conor himself made a very big deal and a very big point that this be declared a doctor stoppage, which is what it was. It was ruled and declared that. The doctor stoppage somehow falsely puts you into a category of like belly who, of like foul play, of like, oh, I guess we got to run it back. This one wasn't concluded. Let me explain this to you so we're perfectly clear. Okay, fights go in 3 ways, but specifically in this order. When you're getting your ass kicked, order number 1 is fighter takes himself out of the scenario. Fighter realizes I'm overwhelmed, gives the universal sign, can be done in the form of a tap or verbally, and he gets himself out of there. If the fighter fails to do the responsible thing, the referee will override him. The referee will step in, absent of a tap or a verbal, and he'll say, I am going to be the adult in the room, and we're all done here. If the referee fails to do his job, a doctor will step in and override the referee and the athlete. Make sure you understand, because this story has been misunderstood from the beginning of time. If you ever see a boxing fight where they got a cut so bad and the referee can't make his mind up and he brings a doctor and the doctor looks at him and says, yes, idiot, stop the fight. We're done here. That referee should feel like a fool. He never does. The story never gets told that way, but he should. If there is an injury in a fight or a cut or anything in between, and the referee has to bring in a doctor to have the doctor stop it, that referee is a fool. He should have been able to see it and identify it himself. Same thing goes for the fighter. If you ever get beat up by TKO and you didn't have the sense to get yourself out of there, your corner didn't help you out, in all fairness, somebody should feel like a fool. I get it. The fighter feels brave and the corner says, I didn't see it that way, and the whole thing was early. I've told plenty of stories myself. I know the way that it works. What I'm saying for you is we should still be able to observe. Getting a doctor stoppage is the single greatest domination against yourself that this sport has. You were dominated so badly that the referee, who couldn't make the call, had to have a higher authority come in and tell him what to do. That's the truth on a doctor stoppage. Look, the number one thing, and this is going to sound very cold, but I'm not the one that wrote the rule. I'm here telling you what the rule is. The number one rule of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, who sanctioned this contest, is damage. The number one, what is a judge to look for? What is the other athlete attempting to do? It's damage. Conor is damaged to the point that he is broken. There is nothing accidental about this. There is nothing surprise about this. There is nothing about this that doesn't count as a straight up ass whipping. If you get your ass whipped so bad that you're broken, that doesn't get you a rematch. It's the opposite, or at least should be. Now, history would go against what I'm saying. What I'm saying brings logic into it. What I'm saying, a fighter's job is first to stop the fight. If he fails, a referee will. The referee fails, a doctor will. That is a great disparity within the competition itself. 2 judges had it 10-8. Those 2 judges are right. Absolutely. And understanding that not only was it uncompetitive, it was eligible for stoppage. They're right. to say that there's going to be a fourth fight, inadvertently, I admit, you didn't think it through, but inadvertently says Dustin can't beat Charles. It openly says it. Then why are Dustin and Charles fighting? Would be my very first question, right? You got to be real careful on this Conor versus Poirier Part 4 business. Particularly if you're the one creating the narrative, you got to be real careful because you're saying my number one contender can't beat my champion. Or you're saying that a guy who can't win a fight and hasn't won a fight in a meaningful period of time is eligible to go into a title fight. It's one of those spots where this should be pretty clear. It should be pretty obvious. Now, the entertainment doesn't end. For Conor McGregor, who was broken, literally. Most of you will only have to read about this. I hope that that's you. But some can tell you who have been injured. I don't mean hurt. I'm talking an injury. There is a true part of that process known as shock, where you will go into shock. Conor not only didn't go into shock, or if he did, hit it better than anybody else. He's also got a visual known as the foot, which he's forced to look at, and he still cut a promo. He still had the wits about him to stay in business. If you're a fighter, never quit swinging and never quit talking. The moment one fight ends, the marketing for the next fight begins. The greats, and by great, I don't mean you got more skills than somebody else. I mean you stayed around in main events longer and your bank account grew more. Those are the greats. We'll always follow that rule. Never quit swinging and never quit talking. And to watch Conor do this, I got to give him so much credit. It's a genius at work. It's a disciplined man at work, making sure that he has a job to come back to tomorrow. The most important thing that any of us will do at work today. It's not a great job. It's not to be on time. It's not to stay a little bit late. Make sure you don't take extra breaks. It's not. Those are all positives. That's not the number one thing is to make sure you have a job to come back to tomorrow. Before Conor McGregor got stretchered out of there, he made sure he had a job to come back to, and it worked. It worked for the mere fact that I am the first one you've heard say that was not a competitive fight, that does not, by any stretch of a historical competitive architecture imagination, warrant Part 4. But I'm the only one saying it. Everyone else fell for it. Everyone else went for it. They thought it was a close fight. It's close. Conor said it was a close fight. The judges, of course, said otherwise. To hell with what they said. Conor said it was close. Conor said it should be Part 4. Doesn't even count because it was a doctor's stoppage. To hell with the fact that a doctor's stoppage represents the worst ass beating you can take. To hell with it all. And he went into business for himself. And I am not teasing. I am complimenting. True compliment right now. That was a genius at work. Ronda Rousey weighed in on it. Ronda put out a tweet, basically said what I just said. And she said, I am amazed that while still down, he could cut a promo about what was next. Now, that surprised me to hear her say. I thought she was a good worker. I really did. And it surprised me that it was as though this just got revealed to her. I'm kind of, when? The locker room in the fake wrestling revealed this to you? You didn't know this before? I'm not giving Ronda a hard time. I was surprised that she was impressed. I thought it was something she knew. I thought it was a skill that she had. So you're always learning things from Conor. You're always taking something from Conor. And there's no in between. And if you want to lay there and cry, it's going to make good headlines. But if you're working to be a heel, you can't be vulnerable. You can't be both. There's no greater role in America than that of the victim. If people sympathize with you, they will then like you automatically. They will just do things for you automatically. So you can't be both. You can't be the bad guy and be crying and whimpering on you can't. You got to live the gimmick. I'm sharing that with you partly in Conor's defense because he said some stuff that many people think were brash and over the line. Could be right. I don't know where that line is. I'm speaking purely if your character is that of the bad guy, you cannot weaken yourself and talk about, "Yeah, I sure hope this gets better, and this is pretty scary, and go home and be with my family. Got a good team of doctors. I'm gonna see what they say. I really appreciate all of your thoughts and prayers in this time." You are now vulnerable. It's a choice. It's a gimmick. But one works and one doesn't. I'm just here to bring and show you through an accurate interpretation what happened.